Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. All things in this video are alleged and they are from my own personal opinions and are used for entertainment purposes only. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to share. Today's episode, Lord. Today we will be discussing Love and Marriage Huntsville. Love and Marriage Huntsville. So, last night's episode started at Chateau Fletcher's. And of course, it shows where everybody is still letting Miss Nell know that she needs therapy. And she's still talking about she don't need no therapy. She don't care what nobody say. She don't need therapy. Which, in my personal opinion, based off of the seasons that she's been on here, the conversation she had, how she talks to people, she needs therapy more than anybody. She's the main one that needs therapy as a whole because she got some issues that probably stem from childhood. We don't know because I know Chris states that they both grew up in the projects. So she got some serious issues that she really needs to work on, and she needs therapy by herself in addition to with her kids. So she definitely needs therapy. I don't care how much she sit here and say she don't need it. You need it, baby girl. You can say what you want, but you definitely need some therapy. And the kids are really, persuasive and convincing that she does need therapy. But anybody that watches this show, if you watch this show, you know Miss Nell needs therapy. But, by the time that conversation is over, she told him she would think about it. But, we do know that she will eventually go to therapy because we will see that in this episode. So she does need therapy. But over at the cigar lounge, we will see Marceau and Trisha's husband. Mr. What's his name? Marquez, and he goes in to see Marceau. Now, what I didn't understand in this scene is him and Marceau are supposed to be friends, but he didn't know that the guy was married. How you friends with somebody and you don't know they're married? And he also states that he didn't know Trish was married. But the production rolls footage back on that, which shows that Marceau was sitting there telling a lie. Because when production rolls footage, it shows when they were at Nell's birthday party, where it was stated that she was still married. So for Marceau to say he didn't know she was married, that was the straight out lie. Unless y'all flipping and cutting these scenes like you want to, because it showed that Ken told y'all that Trish was still married. Ken opened his mouth and said it. So Marceau, they either caught you in a lie or they flipping these things like they want to. So, which we know they flip things, but also he still lied. Okay. Marquez tells us that him and Trisha got married when he was 18, and he admits that he wasn't there for her emotionally when her parents passed. Trisha let us know that her mom and her dad and her sister all passed within months of each other. Now, if you've dealt with death in your family, you know that can take a toll on you. That's a lot, especially when you have that many immediate family members that pass in that short period of time. That's a lot. That is a lot. And for him to say he wasn't there for her because he had not had anybody pass, are you serious? You telling me you couldn't have empathy for your wife who lost all these people in her life because you hadn't had anybody pass? You got to be kidding me. It's the world as a whole that watches this Love and Marriage Huntsville sector. A lot of us did not know Kiki personally. We did not. But, we knew who she was on the screen. When she passed, everybody had empathy, compassion, an outpouring of love for the family. They felt some type of way in regards to how this affected her family. And you telling me that you married to this lady that you are married to, that you have been with since you were 18 years old. Now, we got this outpouring of sympathy for a complete stranger. The only way we've even known or seen of her is on our TV screen. But you sitting here telling us that you were married to this lady. Correction, still married to this lady. Where you knew her mom, you knew her dad, you knew her sister personally. Y'all have personal relationships. Because ain't no way you gonna tell me you weren't around these people and you couldn't have empathy and sympathy to care for your wife during that time frame. Are you for real? You got to be freaking kidding me. That makes zero sense. Even with us hearing about how she lost all those people back to back, it made us feel a way for her. But you're telling me, as her husband, I ain't never lost nobody, so I didn't know how to be there for her. You got to be you got to be kidding me. This makes zero sense. Okay. If you say so. I don't believe it, but okay. You just didn't get, that's just my opinion. You just didn't care. Now, he does state that he has love for Trish, but he acknowledges he's no longer in love with her. And he feels like, he states that he has a lot of resentment. And he knows he didn't handle things correctly. Now, not Ken. I don't know why I brought Ken name in that. But Marquez left Trish and the kids. And he's angry with Ken because Ken has stepped up to be the father that he is not. Now, I agree with Marcel a lot in this scene. Lord knows that's a miracle in itself, because Marcel is not my favorite person in no stretch of the imagination. He is not. But he made a lot of valid points in this scene. He really did. And I'm trying to understand how Marquez can be mad with a man that stepped up as a father figure for his kids. So basically, you said you already wasn't there for your wife emotionally when she lost all the people in her family. Then COVID hit, and you decided you really didn't want to be there. Then after that, you just upped and walked out. You said, it's a wrap. I don't want this no more. You just left. You say you left and you moved around the corner, down the street, wherever you moved to. You just upped and left. And then I guess when you got tired of being down the street, around the corner, whatever it was you were doing, you decided, okay, I'll move on to Atlanta. So you left your wife and your kids and you moved to Atlanta with no communication. And I guess you thought, okay, whenever I decide I want to go back home to my family, they'll be sitting there waiting on me. This man gives the Lulu if I had never heard the Lulu. Really. He is stupid. And he's in this episode, he shows where he is extremely mad because someone else stepped up and filled the shoes that he vacated. Now you left your family. You did that. Nobody made you leave. You decided you wanted to get up and leave your wife and your kids. You did that. You didn't sit here and say, well, Trish was doing this or Trish was doing that. You didn't say none of that. You're telling us that you decided because it was too much for you to handle. You decided you'd up and leave your marriage. You did it. But you sitting here talking about, well, I wasn't leaving my kids. Then what you call it? You left the household. If you left the household and you ain't communicating, you left. You can't get mad at this lady because you left, dude. You did it. He still states that he feels like, Trish still loves him and that Ken was her rebound. Be it right, wrong, or indifferent. She may not. But in the end, Trish needs to do what makes her happy. And in my mind, I hope she ain't considering going back to you, because who's to say when you go up and leave her again if she decided to give you another chance? So he states how, Trish and Ken met at the gym, and that was the reason that she started working out. That don't sound. Now, if they met at the gym, that can't be why she started working out, because she had to be going to the gym to meet him. Now, if you had said she met him in the grocery store and then she started going to the gym, okay, but that's not what you said. You said they met in the gym and that's why she started working out. So that's not accurate. She was already going to the gym. So they didn't meet there. They could have possibly met there, but that's not why she started working out. She had already started working out, which is how they met. And she probably started conversing with him based off of he probably was the muscle man in the gym. She was trying to find things to do to get her to wherever she was trying to go. That's probably how they started their connection. But she was already going to the gym when she met him. So you could say that one. And he feels away because he states that his daughter told him that she hates him and a man never leaves his family. However, he feels like she got that from her mother. There's that possibility, but kids also are very smart. They see what's going on. Your daughter saw you leave your family. She said the wife didn't leave. She saw you left. You left your family. So for you to sit here and be like, she didn't say that, because the only reason she's saying that is because somebody told her that. No. We have a lot of kids. This new generation of kids, shoot, they've been here before. This new generation has been here before. And it seems like you're trying to take away the intelligence that your child has, where she's able to see and to articulate what you did to this family. Now you're mad with Ken because he stepped up and he's taking care of your children, yours, that you aren't doing anything for, because this man is put them in a house that he's paying for. Somebody's paying these bills. You said he's taking the kids on trips. You said he bought your son a car. What did you do to contribute to anything in this household? But you can sit over here and complain and say you got all this resentment for him, but he's being a man that you weren't. Now you want to blame Trish and say she's erased the 6 years that you were in your daughter's life, okay, in your kid's life, or however long you were there. She can't erase what you did, because if you were doing like you were supposed to do, that can't be erased. Nobody's going to erase that. The only thing that only way that's going to get erased is what you're doing. You said you were here for 6 years. Where have you been for the last 4 or 5? How have you contributed in the last 4 or 5? What trips have you taken on? How much quality time have you spent with them? See, that's where Ken is with these kids. He's there doing the stuff that you aren't doing. You are in Atlanta. These kids are in Huntsville. They are seeing Ken every day. When are they seeing you? Is this your first time coming back to Huntsville because y'all on this show? Is this it? Because I'm curious. Is that the only reason you came back to Huntsville, so you can be on this thing, be in this episode? Now you sitting here, you talking about you don't want Ken to be a father to your kids. You should want somebody to be a father to them, because you're not. You are not being one. So you should want someone to be a father to them. Because you got to look at it. Ken has stated that he has no biological kids. He has no biological kids. And he's raising his ex-girlfriend's daughter like she is his child. That's not his biological child. But he stepped in and he became a father figure to that child, which he's also doing to your kids. And you have the audacity to sit here and say that you resent this man for taking care of your kids. And I agree with Marceau when he states, you know, he's talking about he needs to have a conversation with Ken. But the first thing you need to say when y'all have that conversation, like Marceau said, is to tell this man thank you. Thank you for stepping up and being the man that I could not be, and helping to take care of my children who I abandoned because I decided I wanted to leave my family. Thank you. That should be the first thing that parts your lips. Thank you. Now, Marceau, you lost me now, Marceau. Because I was with you up until Nell and Martell got brought into this situation. I did not understand. I didn't understand the reasoning for bringing this up at all. There was no reason for Melody or Martell's name to come into this conversation. You talking to this man about his situation. His. We didn't need nobody, especially not you, bringing Melody's name up, because you're going to bring Melody's name up. She's going to be like, hey, we need to sit down and have a conversation, and she's going to cuss you out. So there was no reason at all for her to come into this conversation. It really wasn't. I don't give a flip about Martell either, but it really was no reason for you to bring them up into this conversation. Ken states that at this point, he just wants to co-parent with Trish because he doesn't want her back as a wife. He just wants to co-parent. And he was talking about he know Ken won't leave the situation because he worships the ground that Trish walks on. And all he wants to do is to be there for his kids. Personally, you should have been there for your kids from the jump. When you left your household, you should have still been there for your kids. You sitting there talking about you still texting, you still FaceTime, but outside of that, what are you doing? Outside of that, what are you doing? evidently it ain't a whole heck of a lot. It really is not. So you can miss us with the BS, homeboy. You can miss us with it because you can roll on back to Atlanta and we can never see you again on the screen and we wouldn't even give a flip. Next up, we are at Chateau Rogers, where we get to see Nell rolls up to the Chateau Rogers. Melody's in the backyard. She's waiting on Nell to get there. Of course, when Nell gets there, and Mel done made some lemonade, got a little, some little crackers and whatever else she got on there. But Mel looks all cute and stuff in this episode. Is in this scene to sit her in her backyard to talk to Nell about Nell not wanting to go to therapy. Come on now. But they start talking about the daycare because evidently the young kids that are going to Nell's daycare are getting to the age where they're going to leave the daycare and they go to actual school. And, Nell is getting emotional. She's feeling away because, she's probably been with these little kids for years. And now they're going to leave and go to big kid school. So, she's developed a bond and a relationship with these kids. So, of course, she's going to feel a way about them leaving. But that's how their conversation started that we saw. Then they get to talking about how she felt, how her feelings got hurt because she was telling Mel that they had a conversation with the kids about setting boundaries with their grown kids, and it got flipped on her because they were talking about the kids needing therapy, and all of the kids plus the husband flipped it where they're talking about she needs therapy, which she does. I don't care how Nell sits here and try to spin this situation, how she tried to argue up and down about this situation. You need therapy, girl. I don't know what she thought she was going to get when she went to Mel talking about this conversation, because we know, everybody knows, Mel is all for therapy. She believes in therapy wholeheartedly. So I don't know what Nell thought she was going to get when she went to Mel to talk about this conversation, because we all know Mel was going to be like, yeah, baby girl, you need to go to therapy. I knew that when the conversation got brought up, and I'm like, I don't know why you going over there talking to Mel about it, because Mel is going to tell you need therapy. Because, I feel like everybody needs therapy at some point in our lives. But like they stated on this episode, there's a stigma on counseling and therapy in the Black community, because Black people don't believe in therapy. The first thing they're going to say is, I'm going to give my problems to the Lord. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to pray about it. And I understand that wholeheartedly. And if I'm going to be honest, I was like that a point in time in my life. And then, when you go through so much stuff, at some point, you be like, look, I need to talk to somebody about this. And I understand you talking to God. I understand that. I do that. But I've also gone to therapy. And going to therapy is nobody is telling you what you want to hear. They're not even telling you the answers to anything that you're talking about. They let you talk through your emotions and let you figure out what your issues are. At least that's what happened to me. Yeah, I don't maybe don't mind. I'm a little special. But anyway, Nell was talking about how, all of this is stressing her out. It's stressing her out so much to the point that she couldn't even pass her physical because her pressure was up. That because anytime anybody tries to talk to Nell, she go from 0 to 100. She don't have a calm tone, because she just go from she's here to there. So your pressure ought to stay up. And she also tells them about how the kids always go to Chris because he is more calm. Duh, he's more calm. He's more calm. Nobody wants to come to somebody that's always screaming and yelling at them. Come on now. That because she always, I haven't seen an episode yet where she's in with these kids or these grown kids that she ain't blowed up on these people. Come on now. Either way it go, Mel tells her to take one for the team and go to therapy. So there's that. Of course, she's going to end up going to therapy. But back at Chateau Fletcher's, time we go to the scene, Miss Nell is in there fussing and cussing at Chris because she's stating that he doesn't know how to set boundaries with their kids. She feels like Chris does not support her. Now, all this fussing and arguing you doing right here, that's why you pressure up. That's why you couldn't pass physical, homegirl. That is why. We see Dr. Francis come in, and we see Nell start to explain to Dr. Francis the situation where they're trying to set boundaries with these grown kids. She feels like no one listens to her. She's the last one to find out things, but she's the one that has to be the one to help, because when they go to their father, he tell them no and he through with it. Then they go to her. She sit there and scream and pitch a fit, but then she still helps. So Lance starts talking, and he was basically letting his mom know that, hey, it's not that we don't want to talk to you. It's that when we try to talk to you, you don't listen. He states that when they talk to their dad, Chris is there and he listens to them. He hear whatever it is that they're trying to say. He gives them that safe space to open up and to let their feelings out. Now, he might still tell them no, but they are able to get out how they feel. Now, when they try to talk to Nell, she always interrupts them. And even while he was trying to explain this, guess what happens? Nell did her thing. She showed Dr. Francis exactly what it was these kids are talking about. Because these kids sitting here trying to explain to her what's going on. They can't even finish the conversation or the sentence because she jumps in and interrupts them. She cuts them off, which they're like, this is what we're talking about. This right here is the reason we don't go to you, because when we try to talk to you, you listen to respond. You're not trying to hear what we're saying. You listen to respond, to be like, I told you so. And so she's sitting there, she's getting irritated, she's agitated, and she done got ticked off. And we see this. We've seen this from however many episodes she has been on. She don't listen. You don't listen, girl. Kids need to be like, listen, Linda, listen, Linda. Nell states that she listens when she wants to. So Dr. Francis explains to her that the kid shuts down emotionally when Nell goes from 0 to 100. So when they sitting there trying to talk to her and she interrupts them and starts going ham, they just shut down. This ain't gonna get us nowhere, so we just gonna stop talking to her. So they were stating that the tough love that Nell is trying to instill in them is not working, because is shutting the kids down and they don't want to talk to her. Then in turn, she gets mad and upset because they don't come to her because she's always going off on them. So Dr. Francis states that mom is so rah because she's delicate. She's so delicate. She's trying to hide how delicate she is. So Dr. Francis tells Nell to go to her kids and tell each of them something that she loves about them. And so she goes to each one of them, and tell them how she feels, and she makes them all cry, and she's sitting there crying. And I felt like it was a start. It was a start to healing in this family, because Nell has been rough with these kids for a while, and they need a softer touch to her. Now, I also feel like Lexi needs to be a part of this, but Lexi has stated she don't want to have nothing else to do with them. I feel like it's a lot on that part that needs to be addressed, but I am glad that they have started to heal. They are starting to work on a way to heal. It's not going to be fixed overnight, as nothing is, but they have started. Of course, like I said, it makes them all cry. Dr. Francis tells them, or tells her, that she needs to fertilize her children, and that will help them grow. You need to show them love, not all this screaming and yelling and hollering and cussing them out, because that's not going to help them grow. They need to feel like you care. And Nell wasn't given that. So I thought this was a great start. Hopefully it will continue to grow in the future. But for now, they've made a start. They have made a start. So back at where are we going? To the lake, to the pond, to the park, wherever this is, Trisha and Marquez are meeting up at. Wherever that is. They meet up, and Marquez decides he wants to say he doesn't have respect for Ken because he feels like Ken was always waiting in the wings to talk to Trisha. She goes to trying to explain to Marquez that he wasn't there for her when she lost her mom, her dad, and her sister, and he owns that. Trisha also states that they had different goals and objectives, and she feels like Ken motivated her to work out. But Marquez, he isn't so much as he's saying that he's concerned about his kids, but he's more interested in Ken than he is with the kids. He's like, he feels, I don't know, he got Ken on the brain, baby. Ken is on his brain, but this is all your fault. Dude, I don't know how many times we can stress and emphasize the fact that you left your wife and your kids. You did it. No one did that but you. But Trisha ended up telling Ken that he needs to have a one-on-one with his daughter because he's upset because I guess the daughter had Ken come to the school for Father's Day and not him. Because I feel like if you were still having this relationship or this conversation piece or this texting or this FaceTiming that you say you were having with your kids, why didn't your daughter ask you to go to Father's Day? If you were talking and communicating with her like you say you are, that means you were having, if you were talking to her every day like you said you were, then she would have had the conversation with you and been like, hey, we having whatever at school, can you come? And maybe she did ask you and you was like, no. But at the end of the day, Ken was there. Ken is there. Ken is there on a daily, consistent basis. Ken is doing the stuff that you are not doing. So, of course, Ken is doing the fatherly stuff. So, of course, that is going to be what she naturally gravitates towards when she's doing this presentation for school. This is her father figure in her life. He may not be her biological father, but he is doing and stepping up and doing the stuff that you are not. And heck, if I'm being honest, he might be doing stuff that you weren't even doing when you were there. But even in this, he really, really, really has an issue with Ken. And he feels like before they can move forward with this divorce, because he's sitting there telling Trisha, well, we still married. And she was like, that's just a piece of paper that the ink got to dry on. Baby, y'all ain't even filed. The ink got to dry on something and y'all ain't even filed yet. But whatever. And he's like, for us to move forward with this, he feels like he needs to have a one-on-one, a real man-to-man conversation with Mr. Muscles. They need to have a heart-to-heart. I feel, and they probably do need to have a heart-to-heart, but Marquez really needs to get over all of this resentment, because I don't know if it makes him feel a way because it shows him his own inadequacies that he wants to take it out on other people. Dude, this is you. This is your fault. It really is. But according to him, he wants to move forward with co-parenting. And then, he claims that before he leaves town, because he's in Huntsville at this time, he's going to go by the courthouse, so they can get this divorce paper started. And he was talking about the filing fee he think it's $400. And he asked Trish what she paid, go half on it. And I'm looking like, now, me personally, had it been me, heck, I would have paid for the whole divorce on my own. Shit, because that's what I did in real life. But this ain't got nothing to do with me. But with Trish, she's looking at him like, because in my mind, I'm like, dude, you haven't been here for your kids. You aren't contributing in any capacity to anything going on in their lives. How you don't got $400? How can you not pay $400? Like I said, I personally wouldn't ask him to pay a dime, because I'm one of them. If it's something I want to get out of, I'm going to pay and send you the papers and be through with it. But like I said, this ain't got nothing to do with it. It's just, that didn't make sense to me, because you done had 4 or 5 years of not doing anything for your kids, that now you can only come up with $200 and you want Trish to come up with the other two. Come on. This stuff ain't no doggone sense to me. But ain't got nothing to do with me. Trish ended up being like, well, Ken will pay it. That's like rubbing salt in the wound. But that's how the scene is, or this episode is. It's stupid. Next episode, we will see where you'll see where Courtney and Stormy is talking, and they also talk about Trish, because Stormy's telling Courtney that Martell told her that Trish came over to his house a few times. Then you'll see Destiny and Martell having a conversation about Moses and Sonny coming to see his house. And then you'll also see where Destiny, Trish, and Stormy are having a conversation. Whatever. That's all. I have no comments as far as that goes. I will be here to look at it to see what they're talking about. But right now, I have no thoughts. I still think the Marquez needs some serious. Heck, while we're talking about Nell need therapy, Marquez needs some too. But that's gonna be neither here nor there. That's all I have for this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, share the video. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you all for stopping by to hear me rant and rave about this episode. And outside of that, I hope everyone have a blessed and prosperous Sunday. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.